My wife was like, "Why did you buy all these flags?" I said, "Well, if Antifa does show up and like take down my flag, I'm gonna put it back up. And when they take it down, I'm gonna put it back up again. When they take it down, I'm gonna." I
Yeah,
bought like
I'm live.
I bought like 3 dozen flags.
Oh, welcome to the Musketeers. Today's episode is The Plan. I'm your host today, American Celt. With me, as always, is my big sis, Tara Sim.
Bah.
Seriously. And today is Scooby331. Say hi.
Hey, hey, what's going on?
Not much. Just hilariously, Trump's plan is working flawlessly.
Oh yeah, Ugh. Yeah. I'm enjoying the fallout myself. I had to naturally my wife puts the TV as loud as possible when I walk past it. Uh, I had a ball today. I went to go to a doctor's appointment, and I had my mother with me, and I'm sitting in the room, like the waiting room, and there's all these people in the waiting room, and they got on the local channel, and it's the Long Island channel, so it's really really like bourgeois. And so they're all sitting there and they're all looking at me because I'm wearing my Reagan shirt, the one that says "I smell hippies," and I start going on, and my mother's like, "Shh, be quiet." I'm like, "Nah, nah." So I go like this. I'm like, "Yeah, you see this on the TV?" I said, "You ever see the movies about World War II with the fall of Berlin and the Nazis just were in such denial? They were acting all decadent and hedonistic because they knew the end was coming, and they were, fornicating and having parties and kicking it up and whooping it up and up in the streets, and even when the bombs were dropping." I said, "Yeah, that's what you're watching on here." And all these liberals are all sitting around me twitching and shit, like all uncomfortable in their chairs. It was so much fun. Yeah, he is doing a wonderful, wonderful time. Just, oh, it's beautiful to watch. I had to go to the store, unfortunately. I missed a lot of the rally. What did I miss, Cal?
Uh, Wait, what rally?
The one tonight. He had in North Carolina. I missed a lot of it because I had to go to the store.
I don't know about a rally.
Oh, you weren't watching the rally tonight in North Carolina?
Which rally?
The one your president was at.
No.
It was really cool. One of these SJWs snuck in dressed as a Trump supporter.
And then what?
They threw him out, and it was cool because when he was walking past, some girl flipped his hat off his head, his MAGA hat. Like
Why did they
basically,
throw him out?
he was being disruptive. He was being an asshole apparently. Look, they don't throw him out unless they start acting like dickheads. I guess he was picking
Yeah.
fights or whatever, or just being a complete horse's ass.
Yeah, I think the rallies that Trump holds are they're private rallies, right?
Yeah, pretty sure. Look, they don't want to be bothered. These people. Hey, you're gonna stand in line for 18 hours just to go watch the man, like give a speech. Fuck it. I don't think that you have to deal with some asshole, coming in, some sick bastard who's actually, twisted in the head is like, I'm gonna sit here and wait for 2 days just to ruin everyone's good time. You know what? Nah, fuck him. Throw him out. Crazy bastard. If you want to look into people like that, and I'm not saying that because I'm a Trump supporter, you got some sick asshole who's going to sit there for 2, 3 days just to be the turd in the punch bowl. Maybe you want to see if that guy might be making pipe bombs or something. Just a thought.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone who's going to go to that much trouble to ruin someone else's good time, depending on what their good time is. If they're like them Pizzagate motherfuckers, yeah, ruin their time. But I digress.
But you mentioned pipe bombs. That terrorist attack in Tacoma.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
yeah, my friends have not heard about this.
Really?
Uh, like it's so underreported that even Philip DeFranco hasn't said anything about it.
Hmm. Well, to be fair, I stopped watching Phil probably about a year ago. I got a problem with a lot of these people with their left bias. It's as a journalist, and I want to make this clear to anyone who's watching. It doesn't matter that they're on the left. I will always, until I've seen him say something false, which I haven't been able to watch him as much as I used to. But I have not seen him say one false thing yet on my watch, which is H.A. Goodman. And he's very left. And he's very much admitted as being a leftist. But he's probably the best damn journalist out there. I'll say that honestly. And I can't say that about anyone else on the left that I can think of. I can say that Tim Pool is extremely honest, but the problem is I can't stand that within the first 3 minutes of each of his videos, he always goes with the soft Marxism. You know, for the record, Timmy, I don't give a fuck what your politics are personally. I don't want to hear it. You know, if you're going to give us news, good. That's fantastic. I don't want to hear about how you want the fucking, what is it, the universal basic income.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of horse shit.
Well, I think he's skeptical of that too.
No, he keeps touting for it. He's like, we're gonna get it eventually, and I'm thinking to myself, why the fuck am I gonna pay $500? Let's say $500 a month in taxes, just for them to send me back 100 to pad my shit with. It's like, okay, you throw us this amount, and we're gonna throw you back 20%. It's a reverse vig. No, the fuck out of here. I can earn it just fine on my own. I don't need to kick in exorbitant taxes so you can kick me back a check. The fuck on with that. Like, before my back was out, and this is the thing, I would like to work, for the record, but New York State is just marvelous with their insurance system here, that I'm actually caught in an impasse in the system, and I've been going through litigation now for like 11 years. And it keeps changing because the laws keep shifting and changing, so it goes back into litigation. But basically, they want me to get a job, or they're not going to pay me my comp money, and I go to get a job, and they say, you're injured, we can't insure you. And I say to them, well, New York State won't pay me comp money because they said I have to get a job. They said, okay, go back and tell them that we say we can't insure you. And so I go back and I tell them this, and they say, well, we're just compensation. Insurance is in our department, so you just get a job and we'll pay you comp. That's literally what I've been told, point blank. Because it's not their department, they don't have to deal with it. That's literally when you deal with a bureaucracy that has such internalized bureaucratic structure. I tried explaining this to Burnside. He doesn't understand. Like, I think honestly, the way that the Democratic Party has it set up, check this out, was originally their blueprint for how they want to run things was the state of Illinois. And if you look, Chicago is a machine. Now, you look at my state, it blows Chicago out of the fucking water. Seriously, you want to talk about corruption? No. Illinois, as a state, is not corrupt. The city of Chicago is corrupt as fuck. My state, holy fuck. I'm going to be completely honest here. There is shit that I've seen and I've heard about that blows people's minds that it's one of those things. It's unfortunate that people smeared me as much as they did, because some of the shit that I've seen and heard, I could get Seth Riched over this shit easily by the local Democrats. I mean, it's so naked in New York. People talk about California. It can't hold a candle to this state. It really can't. California is a state that has just completely been fucked up by the Democrats. New York, they know how to actually run the state. They're running it into the ground slower, but they know how to pad their coffers well enough so that they don't piss through it right away. But you got to remember, you come here just because of how much taxes are from, start to finish. For you to get a Big Mac, fries, and a Coke at McDonald's, large, after tax, you pay about $15.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Note to self, no fast food in New York. Fuck that.
Yeah, gas is about $3 a gallon.
Oh, that's about that here too.
Yeah. I'm glad it went back down. Cigarettes, let me see, how much is cigarettes? Oh God. I don't smoke. Let me think. I'm pretty sure cigarettes are up to about In Manhattan, it's $20 a pack at least.
Jesus.
Yeah, it might be more. It might be like up to 15 here, like outside the city limits. Last I seen, it was $10, $12 for a pack. Oh yeah, you pay to live here.
Obviously.
Like the markups are so obscene. I tell people like, you want to get yourself a 2-liter bottle of Pepsi. It's about $2. From the supermarket, you go to 7-Eleven, it's about 3 and change. Milk at 7-Eleven is probably about $7. A loaf of bread's probably about $4 or $5. You pay
A
exorbitant
loaf of
amounts
bread?
at a 7-Eleven. Oh yeah, you want Wonder Bread, you're gonna pay for it. You want a can of coffee? That's probably going to be about $7. That's why you want to buy the cups while you're there. You pay an exorbitant amount. Like, I personally, a lot of people, I can't afford to do it myself. But a lot of people I know, they'll just cross the bridge and go into Hoboken in Jersey and go shopping there. It's so much cheaper. Like, a lot of people in Manhattan, you see so many people in Manhattan on the train with their groceries coming back from Long Island. Because they came out and did their grocery shopping and just go back into Manhattan and put it away. Because depending where you are on the island, to get into Manhattan is less than an hour easily. Like, let's say you're in St. Albans. You can hop on the train and you can be in Manhattan in 10 minutes. Not even. So you can just go to the supermarket. And that's what it's like when I think my sister lived on, I want to say 5th Avenue at one point. She was in a hoity-toity part of town where all the actors and actresses is. So, hold on. My wife is out here being loud. Give me a second. But, yeah, she lived in that part of the neighborhood. And the amount of money you pay in Manhattan for groceries, you'd have to have rocks in your head. I don't know how those corner stores stay open. Like, to give you an idea, I won't even buy pizza anymore in Manhattan because it's about like $5 a slice.
Oh, fucking hell.
Oh yeah.
Shit, I can go downtown when the bars are closing and 5-Star Pizza will be handing out pizza slices for $1 a slice.
Hey babe. Yo. Don't tell me hold. All right, I was gonna ask it. I haven't bought a slice in a while. We actually just had pizza for dinner, but there's a pizzeria by me that has one day out of the week they charge $10 a pie. That's half price. So I only buy pizza this one day a week, and I get a pie. So I don't know how much a slice is. I haven't bought a slice in probably about 10 years. So I'll ask her when she gets back, but I'm pretty sure it's up to about $3.50, maybe $4 out here. Like Manhattan's taxes are absurd. Each county, like, just really quick point of clarification for anyone watching. The 5 boroughs of Manhattan, of New York City, the 5 boroughs of New York City are also 5 counties. So Brooklyn is Kings County, Queens is Queens County, Manhattan is New York County. For the life of me, I can never remember what the fuck the Bronx and Staten Island are, because I make it a point to like religiously avoid Staten Island. And
Because there's Grant County.
I don't know. I gotta look. I think there's Dutchess upstate. Hold on a second.
Well, no, like 2 of those counties named were King and Queen.
Yeah, well, you gotta remember. I mean, it is one of the original 13 colonies. So, yeah, we got a lot of that shit here. You got Dutchess County, like you got Suffolk County, you got Nassau County, you got Monroe County, you got Clinton County. They're all named after these English areas. But at the same time, you got a lot of like Native American names here. Like you got Massapequa, you got Patchogue, you got Cutchogue, you got Aquabog. let me think. What else is there out here? I mean, it's a whole bunch of shit. Like you got upstate, like you have the Mohawk Valley, which is where the Mohawk people lived. But it's beautiful up there. I lived there for a little while in Utica, which is, oh my god, such a dirty city. Holy shit! Every other building is an abandoned building, and the one next to it is a meth lab. So, good times upstate New York. I think I told you about that. The inbred capital of the country is actually like one of the towns upstate that's begins with an O. I don't know if it's Onondaga or Oneonta or Oneida. It's one of them. But every other person looks like Sloth from the Goonies. It's kind of freaky.
Oh, have you heard what they did to 007?
Yes, I did. I was shocked. Nothing about the actress herself, but the filmmakers. My mother had a very colorful response. I won't repeat it on air because I don't want your stream to get shut down. Basically, just I'll give you the abridged version. So questioning whether or not what type of genitalia the people who had the movie possessed, and whether or not it worked properly. My mother can be very creative with her hyperbole. I'll give her that much.
So they made 007 a woman.
A black woman.
Yeah, well, yep.
They doubled down with that diversity token.
Oh, by the way, hey Lawrence, 007 is supposed to be a man. I can handle a black man. He's supposed to be a man.
I'd rather they make up their own franchise that has a black woman as a super spy.
There already is shit like that.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
So why can't they do that?
You know,
007's an already set franchise. So they're trying to build off of that. This is going to be worse than fucking Casino Royale.
You know, there's this one guy I watch. His name's Young and Ripper. He's got this big bushy beard, and he does a lot of these good videos. These ones where he unpacks all the tokenism, and I have really wanted to say this for a while, and I've always felt in the past that, you know, if you say this, the fans are going to get angry with you, and you're going to get a lot of backlash. And I'm not one to fear backlash, but it was just, I didn't want to have the argument. And the problem is, like with Marvel Comics specifically, see, DC, it takes place in an Earth like ours, but there's a lot of shit different in DC's Earth. A lot more different than Marvel's. Marvel's actually a little bit more, I guess they have a better linear timeline, for lack of a better term. Excuse me. I guess because of all the crises, that's probably the reason that DC's a lot more complicated. But I digress. With Marvel, everyone talks about Marvel time. And I've said this for a while. I think we've reached the point. I understand that there's fan favorites, but some of these fan favorites, they're really, really stretching the whole time thing. And to be completely fair, I don't think fan favorites matter too much, or they wouldn't have killed off the Fantastic Four. They wouldn't have killed off Wolverine. I don't care if they brought him back. They did all this specifically to spite Fox. So, obviously, certain things don't matter too much. Now, my whole thing is this. I've been saying this for a long time. They really need to... Some of these older heroes do have to start retiring, and they should start trying to shift the focus, only because certain older heroes are tethered to time. Frank Castle has always been, in the comics, a Vietnam veteran. You cannot have a fucking 60-something, 70-something-year-old man doing that crazy shit that much. It's gotten to the point. Captain America would be 100 if he were alive. And I understand the serum and all that, but, you know, again, we're stretching... I know it's comic books, but there has to be some level of credibility, and unfortunately, we've reached that breaking point. I mean, you saw the D-Day celebration this summer, the 75th anniversary. None of them looked like they were going to be leaping up and, like dancing. They looked pretty, like this was going to be their last rodeo.
Mhm.
So I think that what I'm getting at is a lot of Marvel has to be moved forward. And there's certain heroes that just can't be moved forward, and that's one of the things that has to be looked at. And I understand that they did that god awful reboot or whatever they did about what is it now, like 4 or 5 years ago, where they killed off the Marvel universe and brought it back. They basically did a DC. They stole one of their crises scripts and changed a few things. But I'm saying that maybe they should really consider that they're going to have to move shit forward in time, and Peter Parker should at least be my age at this point. He should at least be 40. That's like the horrible number that they don't ever want to throw out there. But I mean, let's be realistic. Like myself and this young man, he's got to be at least 20 at this point. But he was as smart as a whip. He was this young kid that worked at the local comic book store. And we worked out a timeline. And according to the timeline we had worked out, the best way to work it incredibly, Peter Parker at this point would have to be at least 50 years old. Like, seriously, there's no other way with the way that they have done his whole backstory in the comic book. For anyone who knows, there was the second Red Skull, and I'd have to give so much backstory right now, but that's basically how Peter Parker's parents, they didn't die, they wound up over in a gulag in Russia during the Cold War. Peter Parker was a young boy. That's a very big part of his mythos. So, unless we're going to change all that, which Disney has no problem with, Peter Parker would have to be at least 50. So this is one of those things, no matter how they keep trying to slice it, I mean, unless they're going to keep rebooting the timeline every 5-10 years, which apparently seems to be what Disney's plan is. Which, again, this whole conversation is moot then, because they could do whatever the fuck they want with it. But that's the whole thing, is you're going to then just get new fans, and you're not going to get any loyal fans. Like, you know how now there's like 1,000 different iterations of Transformers? And it's just gotten convoluted as fuck. There's so many different versions of Transformers, I have no idea what the fuck I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what's slowly starting to happen with the Marvel characters. And unless they take their core product and shift the entire timeline, they're stretching this bounds of credibility where the Punisher still looks like a middle-aged man, even though he's a senior fucking citizen. Captain America should, by all rights, either be some Chinese guy up on the fucking top of a mountain at that age, or in the ground. You don't usually live over 100. So, and especially not as running around in tights. Again, I know this is a comic book, and people are going to point out all these other things, but they've never had immortality as their superpowers, and that's one of the things I'm pointing out. And the fact is, you have these characters that are tied to time. Like, there's so many new characters that they could start introducing, and if they want to start introducing more characters of color and introducing more characters with diverse backgrounds, I, for one, am all for it, but I hate when it's fucking shoehorned. That's the one thing that annoys me. Like, when you have to make it where, this is the character's whole thing, the crutch that basically holds up this character is they are from X, and their religion is X, and their preference is X. Well, congratulations, you've just created a stilted character. And that's the problem with a lot of these, like, contrived ones when they're trying to go for a specific type of, fan base or points or whatever they're looking for, because one of the better ones that has been created in the past couple of years, I don't remember her real name, but the character's name in the book, she's an X-Men, she was a Hellion, was Dust. And she was a Muslim. And she wore the whole Sharia outfit. She looked like a fucking ninja. And this is before they were pushing it. This is like 15 years ago this character was introduced, at least. And her name's, I think, Sunyana or something. She was a very well-written character. Very good backstory, a lot of depth to the character. It wasn't forced, is my point, and it was beautifully written. And, again, as somebody who comes from diverse New York, I don't have a problem with diversity. What I have a problem is when you start pushing this diversity in places that it doesn't exist. Like, don't force feed it on people. Like, this is not. I'm not trying to offend anybody, so anybody who comes from this sort of a background, I'm not trying to offend you, but the people who are from Appalachia, the snake handlers, the ones who have their hoedowns and hootenannies out in the woods and shit. That's
They're hillbillies.
You said it, not me.
Yep.
Their culture is those folks love the shit out of their culture. And just like I don't like it when I see Hollywood lampooning them, because to me it's like you're targeting Americans to for ridicule for other Americans. It's one of those things that kind of annoys me. But just like, I wouldn't, it's one of those things. If they went and went after them and said, "Yo, you people got to do diversity," and I'd be like, you know what, fuck you, leave these people alone. Just like if these hillbillies started showing up here and telling us, "Hey, you guys got to start, dancing barefoot on coals with snakes in your hands every morning while we read Psalms," and then we're gonna play the git fiddle and we're gonna get a hold down going. No, whoa, hey, Clyde, nah, chill, ain't gonna fly. I'm not doing no git fiddling or none of that shit. It's one of those things. It's like respect your neighbor. That's why I got a problem. Like I tell people all the time, yeah, I'm a progressive. I'm not a leftist. Teddy Roosevelt was a progressive. People forget that shit. One of the fucking guys on Mount Rushmore. The man who brought you the Panama fucking Canal. That's what being a progressive means. Building shit like the Panama Canal. Not 86 fucking genders, blue hair, and running through the streets with nothing on but pasties and fucking thong. What the fuck is wrong with these people? They're not progressive. That's sick. Sorry. They made it where you can't call a person crazy because it's a crime. You know what? Fine. Give me a ticket because they're crazy. I can't understand this shit. Kelt, did they got that by you? Do you got a lot of weird, naked people running around screaming?
No.
Your sister ran into a bunch of them. Not the naked screaming people, but she ran into a softer brand of crazy. You seen the video, right?
Yeah, she's also in Florida.
Mm. Oh my God! Speaking of Florida, did you see the Florida man story that broke the other day?
Which one?
So in Chicago over the weekend, there was an alligator that was swimming around in one of their reservoirs.
Oh, the meth gators?
No. This is up in Chicago. There was a gator. So Chicago had to call in a Florida man, and he got the gator. That's even what the story was titled. Florida man gets save Chicago from gator. I love it. I'm surprised you didn't hear about it.
They should stop buying the baby ones as a pet and then flushing them down the goddamn toilet.
That's exactly what the chick on the news said. Yeah, it's funny, too, hearing these liberals talk about it because these are New York liberals talking about a Florida man. Matter of fact, I think I can find it on the news. Florida man, New York style. That put me in a good mood.
I have too much fun with this, Scooby.
I do, because I know it bothers you, and this is the thing. It's something that shouldn't bother you, because you got to understand, as somebody who's grown up here, Florida is like a mythical place to us. You gotta understand, Florida to New Yorkers is like Tir na Nog to the Irish. It's like a mythical place. What?
Let's suck a dick.
You're getting angry. I'm being sincere. Like, when I was, oh my God, I'm gonna find you this. There's a clip from the old Ninja Turtles cartoon and it's actually with Slash. It's the first episode with Slash, and he shows up, and he's looking for his palm tree, his plastic palm tree, and he runs into like this crooked businessman, and he's like, yeah, you work for me. I'll set you up with a condo in Florida. And he goes, what's a Florida? He goes, it's a magical place with his palm trees all over the place. They grow right up out the ground. And it was literally like when I was a kid, people, that's how we would talk about it. Like it was this magical place, you know, it had all these colorful fish and clear water and no junkies, you know? That's literally what we thought of. There was no junkies. It was nothing but old people. No one was going to... You could walk down the street with a big bag on your shoulder and no one was going to run up and steal it. You could wear jewelry. No one was going to rip it off your neck. You know, you could walk around at nighttime and no one was going to come up and put a knife to your chest and say, okay, you know, give me your watch, give me your shoes. You know, that's what we thought of Florida. Nothing but senior citizens. Bunch of cops who were all retirees from like the Midwest, so they all were, you know, like crazy with guns or whatever. So we all figured that the cops were armed to the fucking teeth, and it was nothing but senior citizens from up here, all Jews and Italians. So we figured that they had money and they were connected too. So we figured no crime went down there because it was all old gangsters being protected by rednecks, and no one was crazy enough to do anything. That's what we thought Florida was. That's why we refer to it as Jesus' waiting room. You know that, right?
Yes, I know that. You told me this a dozen times.
All right. I don't know if your brother knew that. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't want you to think I'm making fun of your state. It's the opposite. The two places I always said I wanted to move was Florida. Or I said if Hillary won, I was going to try to make it to Texas, to, you know, like for the country's last stand. So, I don't know. After the way the old man's been on a roll lately, I might not even have to ever leave New York. We might be able to get this state back in the next 10 years. Oh my God, can you imagine turning New York red again? That'd be so awesome. Oh my God, it would be so awesome. You know what the problem is? The rest of your states don't want it because once New Yorkers have guns again, all these bastards, you know, all these kids are like, oh my God, look at him. He's such an alpha. All those people, they'll move back to your states. That's the reason that they want New York to not have their guns. The rest of the state, no, let New York stay, keep blue. No guns for them. Because those whiny little motherfuckers with their man buns, they'll stay here. As long as we are not allowed to have guns, they'll stay. We got to get guns back. That way you people, you know, the rest of the country, you can take back your whiny bastards. I can't fucking breathe because of the smell of the patchouli of these motherfuckers. Millions of them moved here in the past 10 years. Seriously. That'll be my fucking... I'm going to run for governor of the state. That'll be my platform. Vote for Scooby. You'll be able to breathe again. All the hippies will leave. I'll run on the...
Stand there and call them all sorts of fucking names.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I could sit there and call them names till I'm blue in the face. I mean, name calling doesn't solve anything, obviously, but I mean, you gotta understand. I lived on a commune for about a couple of months, maybe, I don't know, 6 months at that, not even. And I was alive during the last run of the Grateful Dead, and when Fish started to take off, and they basically got the torch passed to them by Jerry before he passed away. So I was there for the second rise of hippie culture. And I went to Woodstock 99. And I actually had my tent get filled up with fucking hippies. I remember trying, it was a 2-man tent, and I wound up sleeping in there with fucking 7 hippies piled on top of me like a pyramid. But seriously, I got no problem. Some of these people are cool as shit. Now, you got to remember, a lot of these hippies, the quote-unquote hippies, a lot of these guys were shipping off into the service. They were just long hairs for the time being because it was the summer and they wanted to get some trim, I guess, before they went away. So you know, not every one of these guys turns out to be a dirtbag. You know, they weren't all Marxists. That's like I like to stress that to people because they look at me with a raised eyebrow, like, well, what the fuck was your patriotic ass doing hanging around with these fucking commies? And back then, you didn't know they were commies. Like I explained this to Burnside, like that's when I was living on the commune. That's when I started noticing all the Marxism because I started saying, you know, you guys got this real thing for splitting shit up equally and sharing everything and this, that, and the third. I said, what about delegating responsibility? I said, I got a good head for numbers. Why don't you guys let me handle the bookkeeping? I said, this guy is an anal retentive lunatic. Why don't you just let him handle the cleaning instead of making us all split it up equally? Like the one guy who was a clean freak would try to clean, and the others would yell at him like, "No, no, no, we're sharing this equally." Like that's when I started. I said, you know what? Nah, I'm not doing this communist shit. Goodbye, and I left. I The other thing too, it was just where we were at the time. I guess because we were still just setting up the commune, we didn't have that many girls there, so it was Utica, New York, and I could have went back down to New York, and I thought about it, and I said, mountains and no girls, or spring is coming and there's the beach, and summer is right on its tail. You know what? Fuck it. Yeah, I'm going back down. So I went back downstate, and oh god, I can't remember the last time I was even upstate, like that far, because that's far upstate. That's like up into the mountains. Like you go up there and they get angry, like, oh, you're a downstater, aren't you? Yeah. We don't like your kind up here, boy. And it's funny too, because you ever see the movie Fargo?
Yes.
No.
Okay, you remember the accent in that movie, Tara?
I don't know what you're talking about, don't you know?
Yeah, that's how they talk in upstate New York for some reason.
It's because they're closer to Canada.
It's just weird. They sound like they're from Fargo. It really blew my mind when I was up there. And they'd hear the way I would talk, and immediately their eyes would shift, like, "Oh, you're from downstate." Like, oh, this is gonna be a fun time. Like they would sit there and they'd get angry with me. They'd try to talk to me about the traffic up there, like I'm supposed to be impressed. I'm like, all right, good for you. And like the fucked up part was like I'd run into some of the black kids who were from the city, and they did not like a lot of the black kids I ran into were the kids from the projects. So the minute they seen anybody who was from like also downstate who wasn't black, they would start grilling them. Like, you know, they'd start, when I say grilling them, like asking them questions. Shit, like the one guy, he whips out an MTA card. He's like, you know what this is? I go, it's an MTA card. He's like, well, yeah, you can see the letters, but what does it mean? I'm like, Metro Transit Authority. I go, you use it on a bus, a subway, a train? I said, that's what they're for. Oh, okay. How do you know? I look at him, I whip one out of my pocket. I go, asshole. I got one too. He's like, oh, all right. Like, the fuck's the matter with you? What do you think I'm talking this way for? He's like, I don't know. I figured you were another one of them from up here. I look at him, I go, yeah, because everyone that's black goes down by, you know, by us, and everyone who's not black goes up here. I said, that's really smooth thinking on your part. It's funny, I had a friend up there that was named Tyrone. And I said to him when I got introduced to him, I go, your name's Tyrone. He goes, yeah. I said, no shit. He said, why? What's up? I said, well, you know, a black guy named Tyrone. That's like the Puerto Rican guy named Jesus, or the, you know, Italian guy named Tony. I said, you never meet them. I said, you always hear those names drop, but every time you meet somebody, I said, no, it's because what was no, that's what it was. His name was, I think, like either Tyrone Jackson or Tyrone Roosevelt. I mean, it was so bad. It was such a stereotypical name, and I remember he got all offended when I said it. I said, no, you don't gotta get offended, man. I said, I'm just saying, it's one of those things. It's funny because your name sounds Hollywood. You understand what I'm saying? And he's like, oh, okay, I get what you're saying now. I said, yeah. I said, no offense, it sounds like a name you'd hear in a comic book or in a movie, you know, like a stock character. It's like, oh, okay, I got you now. Because he literally, the guy sounded like somebody. I think his name is actually like the name of three characters in an old, like, Swamp Thing comic book I got. Ugh. Fucking heat. I'm dizzy now. Yeah, I talked myself dizzy because of this fucking heat. It's like 90 degrees right now.
Wow.
Oh,
At
yeah.
night?
Yeah, I just said we're having a heat wave. It's just we had a huge thunderstorm because of the heat.
Mhm.
And it's also why I'm having such trouble breathing. Let me open the door. I think it stopped raining. So, yeah, okay. It's about 90 degrees now. It's supposed to hit on Saturday 105.
Jesus.
So, yeah. Well, we're having a hot summer, so that's good. That means it's going to be that's good because when we get up to Boston this August, it's going to be nice and hot. Hey, Kelt, are you coming?
Probably not.
You got to come. Your sister's coming. You're coming. She said that you were going to drive, and she was going to drive, and you guys were going to alternate, and you were going to come up here. It'll be fun. I'm going to rent a U-Haul van. We're all going to drive into Boston.
A U-Haul van?
Yeah, who needs seats? You never did that? $20
No.
for the van. $20 for the van. You throw a box spring mattress in the back of the thing, and you go Bohemian style. Everyone just sits Indian style on the thing. We used to do that, and you'd pass around a big fucking peace pipe. Pretty cool. Hey, I'm not going to twist your arm, but you should come. It's going to be a lot of fun. Burnside's going to dress with his pickle hob and his lederhosen and his other German shit that he has that I'm sure that there's wonderful, colorful names for. And I'm just probably going to wear my hockey mask and my hat, and if it's boiling hot, I'm just going to wear that. Otherwise, I'll probably have on my leather jacket. And it's just going to be a lot of mayhem and fun, basically. Guerrilla journalism at its finest. People dressed like wackos. There's probably going to be at least a half a dozen lunatics dressed up like a flag on skateboards and roller skates and God knows what else. There'll probably be a lot of scuffles. Antifa's going to show up because it's Boston. It's going to be hardcore. Probably a lot of bloodshed. It'll probably be like the Battle of Berkeley. Yeah, good times. That's what I'm saying. You definitely should come. Up to you. I ain't going to twist your arm, but I'm going.
I'm trying to go. It's just, responsibilities kick in and I gotta fork out money.
I hear you. I'm trying to think of a way we can get you up here. Right, Patches? You get Aunt Tara to come visit? She says hi to you, you panda face Pooch? Yes, Pooch.
That dog is gonna go missing if she comes over.
That would destroy me as a human being.
I don't think she cares.
She should. This dog is my whole world.
Sarah, do you care?
Well, she has to understand I'm also his whole world. The dog, he sleeps in my arms every night. Like when I was in DC, he didn't sleep. He couldn't sleep because I wasn't home. So he would not be. He'd be miserable. He'd be depressed. He'd be sad. He would be an insomniac. His health would suffer. You'd be hurting this dog. Now, if Tara, do you love this dog?
Yes, I do love Patches.
Then what you can do is, whenever you make one of those beds or quilts, or whenever you sew up another one of those dominatrix outfits, whatever you do, right? You can send 40% of the proceeds to Patches. I'll set up a PayPal for him, and that way Patches will benefit from you helping him.
My money goes to me. I'm sorry.
All right, well, I was gonna say, because Patches needs a college fund, right, Patches? Yes. Tell Aunt Tara you want to learn how to build airplanes. My mother keeps telling me I should start a Twitter account for the dog. Do you realize that this dog will probably get like 1 million subscribers?
A lot of dogs get millions of subscribers.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's like what's funny about it. Badges will be famous, right, Patch? Hey, that'll be fine. If people want to actually pay to see this dog walk around and piss on lampposts and throw him money for it, fine. If they want to say things to me like, "Well, you got to," if we throw money to the dog, you got to use it. Yeah, I will use it for the dog. Check this guy. The dog's gonna get all sorts of GoPros, and I'll get him a fucking microphone. I'll get him like an infrared friggin' flashlight and camera and shit. This dog will look like a stormtrooper walking down the street. He'll be so mediated out. Like, seriously, Patches, we'll give you your own show because everyone loves you. You're adorable. He looks like a big badger. Oh my God, it's hot. It's like a bunch of fat tourists on a minibus hot. My God. So what else is going on, Kelt? I know that you had a few things you said you wanted to bring up about, like, with the president and his crazy shit he was doing with the...
Well, there's also things going on with Disney.
Why, what's going on with Disney?
Well, their Galaxy's Edge park is almost empty.
Wait, which one?
Galaxy's Edge, the Star Wars park.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, it's too expensive, and two of the rides aren't even finished yet, so they're closed.
Disney will keep it open for at least 5 years to see if they can make their money back. They have to recoup. Then they'll close it and tear it down.
A Disney heiress also went to, I think, one of the, it was at a Disney World or Disneyland. Well, she went there undercover, and she was livid by what she saw.
Really?
Yeah, one of the employees told her that that the workers have to forage for food from people's trash there.
Wait, they had to what?
Forage for food from the trash there, the workers.
Jesus. Part of the reason I use this evil mouse avatar. I want people to...
Wait. Why are the workers having to forage for food through the trash?
They're not making enough. Most of them are part-time.
Well, this must be the Disney in California. Because the one here, no, the state would fucking shut Disney down in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Disney World is a little different than Disneyland. Disneyland is actually, a lot of people don't realize, it's a smaller park. It's nowhere near as big. Disney World is fucking enormous.
Yeah, I've been there once.
Me too.
California don't give a shit. Florida does.
It's obvious to me that California doesn't give a shit. They're giving free healthcare to illegals.
I also want people to keep in mind, Disneyland came way later after Walt Disney's death.
You got him back.
Disney World was first. So Walt Disney loved the scenery of Florida and wanted it because it reminded him of the 100-acre woods.
That, and it's Florida. People would obviously, okay, it's a Magic Kingdom with a talking mouse. Okay, it's Florida. We'll buy that. But to be fair, I am glad that that's in your state. And I've said it before, I do not like zoos. But I like nature preserves. And you got Busch Gardens down there. And I'm pretty sure you got...
Carson Springs, which is here in Gainesville.
Cool.
There's the Jacksonville Zoo, which they actually take real good care of their animals there. We have tons of preserves here in Florida.
That's what I love. That's part of the reason I want to move there.
We also have sanctuaries where you can go and look, but if you're bringing a drink or something with you, you better make sure you either put that in their trash bins, or you take that shit back out with you, because you will be fine.
Oh, you just reminded me of what happened to me today.
They have cameras.
I got thrown out of the DMV for
What?
eating White. I got thrown out of the DMV today for eating White Castle.
Why?
What?
Oh, you're not allowed to eat in the DMV
So why were you eating in the DMV?
because it's a heat wave. I'm not sitting outside and eat lunch. I
Why
had
are
to
you
get.
allowed to eat in the DMV?
Well, I had to get the Reggie for the car, and the thing was automated, and I was literally done in 2 minutes. I was like, wow, this is convenient, and I already went to White Castle first because it's down the block, and I look around, I'm like, damn, a lot of fine women here today. So I just propped up and sat down and started eating my lunch, looking at all the eye candy, and the security guard see me sitting there eating the sack of 10. He's like, yo, get the hell out of here. I said, all right, sorry, my bad. And that was it. He's like, didn't you see the signs? I'm like, where? And where's there a sign? He's like, right there. And I turn around and I walk, and it's only got one side on it. And I told him, I'm like, yo, it's blank on this side. It's on the other side. He said, oh, didn't you see it? I said, no, I went right to the door. I said, who the fuck stops and reads all that shit you got on the wall? I said, you got 15, 20 signs there. I said, no this, no that, no this, no that. I said, I came in to do something. I said, I didn't know I wasn't going to eat couldn't eat the burgers in here. Well, we got people leaving shit in here all the time. Yeah, all right, fine, I get that. I said, I'm not offended. It's not like you tried to take them from me. It was funny, though, because I'm sitting there eating a sack of 10, and the guard comes over, and he's looking at me, what the hell are you doing? I'm eating my lunch. Get the hell out of here. Oh, all right. Sorry. I mean, I don't know. That's just what I used to do when I was younger. I mean, you're going to eat lunch and you're in the area. You just stop up in the DMV. I mean, when I was single, that's usually how you get most of your dates. Either go to the DMV or the video store, the library, or the supermarket.
And remember, people, those library girls, they're fucking freaks.
Well, you know what it was? I try to stress this to a lot of people. If you're meeting people at the bar, you most likely you're probably going home with them. It's we run into somebody at the bar and you exchange numbers with them. That's actually not a good thing. Like when they give you their number.
Don't ever call the numbers on the bathroom stall wall.
Well, there's that, but I'm saying, like, if they give you a number and then you see you leave with another guy, yeah, they were just being nice to you. It might actually be their real number, but you might be, like, the person that they start getting friendly with just so they have a designated driver when they're drunk. That's just telling you guys out there, and girls, just telling you the sad facts. But that's also the double-edged sword. If you do wind up going home with them from the bar, there's a good chance, if you didn't know them beforehand, I got to stress this, like, if you go to a towny bar like me and you go home from the bar with somebody, there's a chance you probably known them already for 10 years. So there might be a history there already. But I'm saying if you go home from the bar with somebody, there's a good chance you're not going to want to start a relationship with them. So I was always fortunate enough where right place, right time, I'd run into a girl I knew at, like, a supermarket or the video store, or bookstore, whatever. And I'd start talking to her, and we'd exchange numbers. And the fucked up part is, Kelt, up until I met your sister and a bunch of these other chicks that I've been talking to on the internet, I always thought that I had the gift of gab. Apparently now I'm good looking and I'm just not articulate at all, which is what I found out. So I actually feel like an idiot. I'm serious, like, the whole time, I actually thought I had game. And now it turns out I'm just, like, good looking, according to them. So it's like, oh, that's great. I'm sitting here thinking I'm Mr. fucking Wizard. Meanwhile, it's just like, no, I'm pretty.
That and you're always carrying around a tube of cookie dough.
I should never have trusted you with that. I regret telling you that. Well, to be fair, between the cookie dough and the Chicago sauerbraten, it is what coaxed you off of the Democrat plantation. So we're glad that you've joined the fold here on the the right side of the force, They tell you on the other, come to the dark side. We have cookies, but they don't tell you that we got club sandwiches over here. Look at it that way. See, I'm not even right wing, but I don't mind hanging out with these people. I don't mind being a centrist amongst the right. I tried hanging with the left. I did. I hung with them for a minute. I'll give you. Look, I'm going to be completely honest. I don't have too much experience with right wing women, but left wing women give fantastic head. That's a point in the column for the left, I guess. I mean, they don't have anything else going for them, really. I mean, these women. I don't know. I'm trying. It's not. Look, I'm sorry. Looks don't matter, because if you're an ugly person, your looks really are not going to save it too much. I'm not going to lie. A lot of the times you're going to get any action from a guy that's of my mindset. It's probably going to be a lot of hate fucking, because it's only because you're good looking. There's no emotional thing there. That's something I want to stress to everybody, men or women. It don't matter how good you look. It's how good you are. I mean, I've called people ugly before to their face. I'm not one of those people who likes to talk to people that ain't around to defend themselves, but I've told them they're ugly. And they and the people who were in earshot are looking at me puzzled, because the person you look at them aesthetically, they're a beautiful person. But get to know them for a day or two, and you'll see.
Pretty on the outside and ugly on the inside. It's the ugly on the inside that is what turns people away.
Yeah, is what I'm getting at. And, that's one of the things I wanted to know about. This is actually where I was going with that. That girl who got, the poor thing, she got 20 years for pedophilia, and people have been like, what do you mean, poor thing? Because she was a pedophile. I want to know what the fuck happened in that case. I'm saying, did she get the 20 years just because of how she looks? Or, I mean, what were the stipulations of this case that she caught 20 years? I mean, I'm sorry, depending on, what happens, I don't think jail time is the right thing to do. A lot of these times, I think severe psychotherapy and possibly an outpatient program from, a low-security facility. I would not put, especially a girl who looks like that, in a maximum security prison. It's now I know a lot of people are gonna say, well, good, and I'm saying no, I don't think that you understand when I say it's gonna destroy this girl. They're thinking name calling and hair pulling, and I don't think people understand what goes on in a supermax. I don't know if she's going to a supermax or a max or whatever. I'm just saying, if she's going to a maximum security state prison, she's going to come out scarred up. That's first thing everyone that's listening to me has to understand. That girl her face is going to get fucked up. They're going to carve her up. She's going to get marked. That's the first thing that's going to happen to her. Now, especially if she's really fine, they're going to, first off, they're going to hold this girl down. They're going to rip off every stitch of her clothes and rape her. And more likely than not, they're going to tat her up and mark her immediately. She's going to get actually marked out as property. Depending who gets to her first, that's who's going to mark her first. This is not anything that's going to be good to figuring out what in the fuck went wrong in this girl's head, because I'm one of those people, believe it or not, when it comes to pedophiles, I definitely want to know what the fuck is going on in their brains, because now pedophilia, you got to understand, that's like a sexually transmitted disease, because once somebody molests a child, the child tends to grow up to be a molester. So this is one of those things where I would like to know now, and I'm not saying in every case, because I'm sure I just pissed off half of the internet who have gotten diddled by Uncle Wally with the wandering fingers, and they didn't grow up to be a molester and their feelings are hurt. But I'm just saying, look, that's usually how it goes. Unless somebody is a truly evil, degenerate, sick asshole, they don't come from a healthy, happy, normal background and start doing this sort of behavior. They usually triggers, markers, and cues. And I said to my wife, and she agreed the minute I said it, I said, look at her, you just by looking at the girl, I could say honestly she must have been sexually abused at some point for her to be doing this sort of behavior. Because I hate saying it again, look at her. More likely than not, she's probably been abused by more than one person. Probably not just family members. This is a girl that might have been abused by teachers. She might have been coming from such a cycle of abuse that she was literally might have just been repeating the cycle. And a lot of people are going to say, well, you're defending, she should know right from wrong. I'm saying she might have been so enmeshed in this system as a teacher and might have been getting, like, this is the thing. Was she local? Was she from this area? Because that might actually shed a new light to this case. This is another reason why I'm annoyed, because if she's a local girl and this is all local jurisprudence, she might be getting this case because she might actually be the thing that sheds light on what's going on in this particular district. This is the reason the other day when you told me about this story, I got annoyed when I seen the 20 years, because that to me seems like, okay, there might actually be a lot of shit tied to this. Like, if you look at her pictures, she might have actually been very popular among that sort of a crowd, if you catch my drift. In other words, they might have shared this broad if she was in that sort of a thing. I mean, we got this thing breaking now with Corey Feldman and with this Weinstein and this Epstein. And I'm sure there's another Steen in the mix I missed. But, with the kitty diddling. I mean, you had Weinstein and Epstein bouncing back and forth between Los Angeles, New York, and Miami. And you had them diddling these kids. And, and my mother said, well, Weinstein wasn't with the kids. I said, if you look at the pictures, he's with all of these child actresses and actors, too, which is a little freaky. And so my thing is, what if it was, now I'm not saying that this girl is connected to these actors and actresses. My God, if it was all interconnected like that, that would scare the shit out of me. But let's say on a local level, there was something like that going on, and this girl might have been the belle of the ball. In other words, she might have been getting passed around to all of these fucking parties, right? Again, there's a lot of reaching and speculation here, but this is the things you want to look at when you start to dig for a case like this. Especially to me, I see a lot of earmarks that I'm thinking that shit got buried. Because if you look at her, I'm thinking this girl, they might have got her young, got her into this sort of a lifestyle, got her involved in it, and so she might have been repeating the process. And this is the thing, that might be why they're throwing the book at her, is to silence her and to shut her the fuck up and get her out of there. Because if everyone from up on high in that is involved, you can't go to anybody and turn to them and say, I got this proof and this evidence, if everyone who's prosecuting you is involved. That's one of those things that you have to look at, I mean, where did this take place? Was she a local girl? Because that's when you have to wonder. You got to look, what is the amount of child sex offense and sex crimes in general in the area she lives in? If it has high incidence of that, specifically if she's a local girl and it's at the school she's in, you have to see, was any of these her friends when she was younger? As a journalist, this is what I would look at. Try to uncover it. It's just a beautiful girl with a handsome young man that's a husband, fiance, whatever, that's just not out of the blue turned into a child molester. She had everything going for her. I'm just saying, there's so much to this case that I don't know. It's just something. There's something about it. It doesn't sit right on the tongue if you follow the expression. I can't put my finger on it, but something about this case, I don't know. It's just, I hate going back to like what this girl looks like, but it was like I just kept looking at her and I'm thinking to myself, it doesn't make sense that she would do this out of the blue unless she was herself. And when you look at somebody like that, you think to yourself, if she was in that sort of a scene, she must have really got involved with it, because that's what they do with these kids. If they find one that they really like, they really go whole hog on them. And that's the ones who come forward years later. I mean, I remember hearing this on like Jerry Springer and Richard Bay. You'd have these young ladies that would come forward, and some of them were real knockouts. And they would tell you that they got involved with this sort of lifestyle when they were younger. And then you find out how young, like, Tara, I know you probably remember, some of these porn stars' interviews, they were talking to these young girls, and they would always say that they were like 12, 13 years old, and the guy they were fucking with was like, 18, 19, 23 sometimes. Yeah. You remember seeing some? Yeah. And this is back 10, 20 years ago. You'd see some of these interviews, and my thinking back then is, Okay, so the LA County Sheriff came to talk to her after this recording, right? You know, and that was the thing. And I think, Tara, you and I had a long talk about this the other day. I don't want anyone to think I'm condemning anyone's lifestyle choices, but the normalization of this blatant, open, anything goes sexuality, I think is a little bit dangerous. Um, like these porn stars, and I've always said they shouldn't be role models specifically because of how degenerate their lifestyles are. I mean, I've said this before. There's nothing sexy about watching some of these porns. Like, it's animalistic and ritualistic. It's like some barnyard shit. I don't care how beautiful the people are that are banging the shit out of each other on the screen. The fact of the matter is, again, it's the same thing of like, how a person, like an ugly person on the inside, it affects how you look at them superficially on the outside. It's the same thing like with this porn. It You could have a beautiful woman, and depending on, I guess, if you'll excuse me for being so blunt, what she's doing in the movie and how she's performing and how she is, it could actually diminish your view of her. I hate saying that. Again, I hate, because a lot of women will say, well, what about the man in the porno? I'm being completely honest. I don't care about the guy in the porno. I'm not interested in him. You watch it, if you're a straight guy, you're watching it for a woman. You don't care about the guy. See,
Yeah.
and this is the thing, and I just want to point this out to feminists. They overthink a lot of things because they think about the man and the woman in a lot of different things, and men don't give a fuck about the guy. Like, I remember when I was a teenager and my hormones were really out of control, you'd watch a movie for a specific actress, and I see it years later, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't even know this guy was in this movie. And my wife was like, I thought you said you'd seen it like 3 times in the theater. My whole thing is, I was looking at her. I wasn't paying attention to him. And that's the thing. A lot of the feminists, they will pay attention to all the details and they'll overanalyze it. And that's the reason they're driving themselves crazy, is because they have to understand, they bitch and complain to Hollywood about, you know, they don't like this portrayal and they don't like that portrayal, and it drives them all nuts. They don't like the way they're showing the men and how they edit this way, and they don't like the way that they're showing the women this way and this, that, and the third. And we didn't notice that they were pussifying the men until they started butching up the women. Did you notice that? Until they started butching up the women in the past like 3-4 years, we didn't notice that they had pussified all the men. It kind of snuck past us because we weren't paying attention to the men. Seriously, once they started bestializing the women, where they all of a sudden you got this friggin' ogre bitch, like, yeah, who the fuck is that? Well, she's the new lead. Really? What happened to a woman? Like, once they started doing that, that's when we're like, oh my god, what is that thing? And then they looked over, like, wait a minute, when did the men become such bitches? Like, it's like we snapped out of our trance. Once they took the beautiful women out of the equation, that's when Hollywood screwed the pooch. If they would have just kept all of the beautiful women and stopped pushing, this body positivity. It doesn't matter that I'm slothy looking hunchback. I'm still beautiful. If they didn't start pushing that narrative, we wouldn't have snapped out of the trance. Seriously. I always said when I took my mass media classes, and I used to get in trouble from the teacher, but I would always say, well, whenever you want to make money, just follow the bouncing breasts. And that's the thing. Hollywood lost the plot. They forgot that little rule. Tits equals money. Up, and there's my wife bitching because she wants me to act as a servant. Hold on.
Kids really do equal money. Hey, Revner. Oh. So you slept all day, huh, baby brother?
No. Not all day.
Not all day?
No.
What'd you do today?
Mm. See. Played
What you
Dauntless
did?
with one of my friends.
What about your friend?
Played Dauntless with one of my friends.
Ah. What are you doing, Mutt? Come here. Come here. Come here, Doofus. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Come here. Come here. Get over here. Dead air. Baby brother, find some articles, read them.
Okay. Trying to find it. Shit, I can't find it. What'd you do today?
I went to my doctor's office, drove my aunt around, and then went to sleep.
How is she?
She's good. Ugh. Rescue slept in the bedroom with me, and then once I woke up, she decided she wanted to cuddle in my lap.
How is Rescue, by the way?
She has little growth spurts, but as we both know, she's not going to get too big.
When is that Area 51 raid going to be? September 20th.
What
Danny
about
Trejo just joined the raid. Apparently, they have 2.5 million people saying they'll go. There's more saying that they'll go than there are saying that they're interested. 1.4 million versus 1.1.
Come on, 5 more articles to read.
All right. You know, this takes time to find something.
This is why you have to have them back ready to go.
Hmm.
Oh. I usually have at least 3 to 4 articles pulled up ready to read. As long as my laptop doesn't decide to freeze up.
The bishop will take to the skies to exercise entire Colombian city. Fuck off, ad. And the army is to provide a helicopter for sprinkling holy water on area beset by violent crime. A Colombian bishop is planning to exercise the entire city this weekend, sprinkling holy water from a helicopter. Monsignor Ruben Dario. Fucking hell, how many names does this guy need?
Oh, just call him
Dario
douchebag.
Jaramillo Montoya, the Bishop of Buenaventura, will say a prayer intended to purge the area of demonic infestation.
I think that name is Guillermo.
Huh?
Guillermo. That
Which
name.
one?
The second to last name that you read, I think it's Guillermo.
Jaramillo?
Guillermo.
Guillermo. It's got 2 L's, right?
Yeah.
Guillermo. I got a cousin Guillermo.
So it's Guillermo is Jaramillo.
That's one of the ways it could be spelled. He spells it with a G. Guillermo.
Anyways,
Sorry.
the city is beset by violence, drug smuggling, and poverty. Montoya disclosed the exorcism shortly after a 10-year-old girl was tortured and murdered.
Nick.
He told local radio, "We have to drive the devil out of Buenaventura to see if we can restore the peace and tranquility that our city has lost due to so many crimes, acts of corruption, and with so much evil and drug trafficking that invades our port. We want to go around the whole of Buenaventura from the air and pour holy water on it to see if we exercise and get out all those demons that are destroying our port, so that God's blessing comes and gets rid of all the wickedness that is in our streets." Colombia's army.
Those Catholics will do that. Not to cut you off, I just want to illustrate that for anyone who's listening who's not Catholic. They will actually do that. They will go up there and get like one of those ones that you use like on forest fires, and they'll bless the fucker. I'm just letting you all know that.
Colombia's
Continue,
army
I'm
is
sorry.
referred to be providing the bishop with a helicopter for the aerial exorcism.
I told you.
During the city's annual patron saints festivities. But Buenaventura on Colombia's Pacific coast was named as the country's most violent place in 2014, according to Human Rights Watch. Many of the city's neighborhoods are dominated by powerful criminal groups that commit widespread abuses, including abducting and dismembering people.
Well,
Some
maybe
people
if
are
those
still
people
alive.
would stay the hell out of their cocaine fields.
Huh?
I said, well, maybe if those people would stay the hell out of their cocaine fields, they wouldn't be tortured and dismembered.
Yeah.
Sometimes this is done while they were still alive, then dumping them in the sea. The groups maintain chop-up houses where they slaughtered victims, according to witnesses, residents of the local Catholic Church, and some officials.
Well, at least they're feeding the fish.
You
I
know,
don't think anyone's worried about the starving fish.
I was raised Catholic, and I was raised old world, old style Catholic. Both sides of my family are immigrants, and like new immigrants. So, yeah, I have relatives that don't speak English. You know, like close relatives. Like I'd see them a lot, or their English was very bad. You know, but fuck, I might not see them anymore at this point because of the president. You know, they're probably back over there now. But I digress. So, when I was a kid, you'd see these Catholics and they got their old world beliefs and everything, and I always found it puzzling. Why the fuck is it that the most violent people on earth tend to be Catholic? You ever notice that? Sicilians, you're Irish, you're
That's
various
because
Latin.
by history, Christians are violent. They think violence will get their point across.
Not as violent as the Catholics in general. My God, seriously. I
When was
mean,
the last time the Baptists had a crusade?
that's what I'm saying. You know, and I mean, look, let's be completely honest. Let's lay this ugly bag of snakes out. The British, no one can dare lay the whole Christendom thing on the British people's heads because they started doing this shit back when they were still pagans, and then they were Catholic, and then they became Episcopalian. So these people, you know, they changed the way they prayed a few times, but not the way that they swung the sword. You know, so I mean, I'm just saying, I always found it puzzling myself, though. Like, not even in battle and in war. I'm saying on a personable level, like, for whatever reason, the Catholics, their ethnic populations tend to be among the most violent. You have the Italians, the Sicilians, the Spanish, then you have the Irish, you have the Gypsies, you have my God, when I start naming all these different people, all I just think about is the different type of knives that they wield. And I'm not even saying that being flippant because again, this is when the millennials and the SJWs start to screech. And I'm the type you want to staple their fucking lips because, shut up and learn. Everyone wants to think that they look through the window of the present, is what I like to say. You can't look at things through the window of the present. If I talk about the Sicilian people and they're going to sit there and say, well, I'll have you know that Sicily currently has a GDP of this percentile, and I look at them and I'm like, motherfucker. They only got plumbing about 60 years ago, maybe. I mean, really, you're going to sit here and fucking talk to me about this? You can't talk about historical shit to these kids because they try to look at it through the window of the present. And that's what I say is, if I talk about the Irish, I'm specifically speaking about the previous 5,000 years or so of their fucking history, not the past 50. Everything since World War II done changed the game. That's what everyone has to realize. The First and Second World War completely changed how the world is. And what happened afterwards is what has molded it into its current state. So I am literally talking from the perspective of when I was a little boy in grade school, talking to middle aged and senior citizen people who've told me how the world used to be. The shit that I read in textbooks and the shit that I saw in documentaries, because I was fortunate enough to grow up during the Reagan administration and was actually there and had teachers who sat there and brought in the new textbooks, and we learned lessons in school where they showed us, okay, now flip open to the old textbooks and you see this, children, this is called revisionist history. My whole neighborhood is woke as fuck because of these teachers. Seriously. We're basically, a lot of people don't realize, they call Nassau and Suffolk County the Red Wall, because upstate New York, Albany, no matter how many tricks they try, they cannot break these two counties like they did the five boroughs. Like, a lot of people don't realize this. Brooklyn itself has been solid blue since 1898. Did you know that?
No.
They call it the mistake of 98. Brooklyn feel No, check this out. Brooklyn feels that they made the biggest mistake of their lives was becoming a borough of New York City, because Brooklyn was its own city, the same way that Queens was a county. And Brooklyn and Queens both became boroughs of New York City. Queens regretted it because Queens was still agricultural and rural at that point in time. And once they became part of New York City, it was goodbye to that. The Bronx is still a little bit rural, believe it or not. A lot of people don't realize that. But I digress. So the entire county of Brooklyn, Kings County, and the city of Brooklyn, when they became part of New York City, they felt that they got cheated so badly, and they got cheated by the Republican Party, that people would refer to it as the mistake of 98. And they hated that they made that choice, and Brooklyn has been a solid blue stronghold since 1898. A lot of people don't realize that. It's had its patches here and there that have flared up red. Don't misunderstand me. But it's never gone completely red. Not since before 98. A lot of people don't know that about Brooklyn. Look it up, the mistake of 98. You know, it's so that's one of the things like a lot of people don't realize. That's another reason I don't like going into Brooklyn a lot of times. It's because of how solid blue and democratic Brooklyn is. Brooklyn is actually Brooklyn's red. And when I say Brooklyn's red, I mean as in commie red. Brooklyn is full of communists. Burnside thinks he has it bad out by him. I remember about a year or two ago, I found I didn't know that the national headquarters for fucking BAM and Black Lives Matter and Antifa are all within a fucking 2 or 3 block radius of each other in the middle of Brooklyn. And I showed it to Burnside, and he's like, "Oh, we should fuck with them and this, that, and the third." And I looked at, I looked at the screen when he wrote that, and I typed back to him. I said, "You out of your fucking mind?" And I showed him pictures and videos of these people, and he's like, "Holy shit, they look like the Black Bloc in Germany." I said, "They're worse than the Black Bloc in Germany." No, this is no disrespect to German people. When I'm not trying to, take a swipe at them, like saying that they can't fight. When I'm saying shit like that, this is not like the Bloc in Germany. That you got to understand something about Brooklyn. It's something about these fucking people. It's the craziest fucking mentality you'll ever see. Is somebody who's grown up. I mean, if somebody grew up in the fucking projects in Brooklyn, that cat is probably the last person you want to tangle with. Seriously, you don't want to fuck with this guy. It's more likely than not, because I have yet to meet somebody from Brooklyn who grew up in the projects, and the first thing that you talk to them about is how they make Fabergé unicorns. You don't have that sort of a conversation. Most of these fucking guys work the loading docks because it's good money and it's close because they go right up into Vinegar Hill, right over by the bridges. And most of them are boxes. I know more boxes. Again, let me clarify before anyone starts, hitting me up on fucking messaging platforms or whatever. When I say I know, I've seen the guys fight. I might have had a word or two with them. That's it. I know of them. I don't personally know them. They're not going to be at my next barbecue. You have to be careful with what you say with people. So when I say I know of a lot of boxers that I have met that live in those parts of Brooklyn that are really rough. And part of what it is, because I cut a video a while back, because, my neighborhood's pretty rough itself. It's one of those things when you're used to a certain type of place, you don't want to leave. Like, I'm right over near the water. I got the boats right over here by me. I don't want to, like, move someplace to, like, Nebraska, not knocking Nebraska because I've never been there. Fuck, it could be, like Candyland. How the hell would I know? But it's a landlocked state. I'd probably be miserable. Ugh. Christ, my neck. It's fucking heat. It's oppressive. Seriously, my backyard is probably like the Bataan Death March right now. I'll go out there, there'll be fucking people lying all over. It's like, ugh, the heat. And again, fucking gotta clarify things. I don't know if they'd be laying all over in my backyard, but past the fence, out into the street, yeah, they might actually be laying all over the place. Who the fuck knows? I've found homeless people sleeping out there before. Seriously, you'll find that a lot in the heat. You go through certain parks, you can actually trip over a homeless guy sometimes because they'll just lay down in the grass because the grass is cool from the dew, and in the heat wave, you just lay down on the grass and sleep. That's something actually I was just gonna mention. I guess I don't know what it is lately, but maybe I don't know. I guess things have gotten safer in certain areas, but you'll see a lot more people sleeping in public in the heat. Like I've seen a lot more people post the fuck up out in front of their house or whatever, like sleep on the hood of the car if they don't have air conditioning. You see that every once in a while. Like I remember one time I was going in the neighborhood and I go past this guy I knew, and I think I don't know. I never asked him. It's not a polite question. I think the guy might have been a dealer because his car. I mean, he had a really nice car, but he was a cheap asshole. He didn't have an air conditioner in his house. So I go past his house at like 2 in the morning on my bike because it's a heat wave. My air conditioner was broken. I couldn't sleep. And so I'm out on the bike trying to cool off by just, like ghosting on the bike and let the breeze cool me.
Yeah.
And I go past this guy's car and the car's running. I'm like, what the fuck? This motherfucker was asleep in his car with the AC running. You see a lot of that in the neighborhood. People who don't have air conditioners, they'll fill up the tank in their car and then they'll just sleep in the car with the AC on. Ugh. Believe it or not, that's the reason that down south got more populated. You know that, right?
Why?
Air conditioning.
Yeah.
The Bible Belt's alternative name is the Sun Belt. You got no idea how much I want to go check out down south. Forrest Gump did it for me.
Oh, so
Seriously.
speaking
Never seen
of
it.
sun,
Mm-hmm.
a few years ago, California wanted to change their motto
Yeah.
from whatever the fuck it is now to the Sunshine State.
Which is Florida's.
And Florida found out about this and we're like, no, fuck you. We've had this for fucking ever. We already share birds with other states and shit like that. No, you cannot have our logo. You already fucking lied.
The best part is, though, now that you can actually put on your billboards, Florida, the home of Florida, man. And it works.
No, thank you.
All right, hey, it's your call. I mean, I think it's cool as hell that you got your own state superhero. To me, that's really awesome. I mean, we don't have any, like... Okay, I'm not going to finish that sentence because that's really mean. I'm not going to go there. I'm a dick, I know, I'm sorry. I just...
Go choke on an enlarged clit, dude.
Love you too, Tara. You're the best. I'm just in a good mood because I actually got a chance to talk to Burnside earlier for about a good 2 seconds, really fast. Just to I go over a few things about the march up over in Boston, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I've been going to the gym, trying to get myself back into shape. Not that I was in bad shape to begin with. It's just, I'm not saying it's trying to be funny either. I'd like to get my stomach, rock solid and flat again. And that's about it. We're just, I'm going and trying to get myself into shape for, go to this parade. Just, I don't know. I'm putting a lot of focus on it right now, and I guess it's just because you know what it is. I was talking to him about it, and I told him because of how cheap the buses are to go down to D.C., I'm really thinking of trying to go down to D.C. more to cover a lot more of these events, because I'll be honest, I don't know. I don't want to go into Manhattan and cover things. I mean, seeing these fucking people in that city and seeing what they've done to that city, You know, you gotta understand. A lot of people, they don't understand like why I don't want to leave. But I've said this before on here, but I'm gonna reiterate this point. My father, when he came home from Korea, he started driving for 282, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. Now, he poured the foundations for almost every major government building in Manhattan that got erected, I'd say, between 1960 and the year 2000. So, for a good 40 solid years, 99% of the buildings that were erected that were of, for the government were poured by my father. Now, that's not a lot of buildings, but that includes the World Trade Center. Includes the World Trade Center complex. He poured the foundations for all those buildings, and also for the tunnels and all that shit. Now obviously it was not just him. There are other drivers that poured on that. This is the thing. I wish my mother was here right now. I'd ask what it's called. I can't remember exactly. You have to do something specific when you pour the concrete. And my father did it. He was the top man in the union. Like for this first pour, they had to do some specific thing. I forget what the fuck it's called. I've never poured concrete, so I don't know it. So he was the top man. That's actually the reason that the president, when he was still just a regular, real estate developer, when he erected Trump Tower, that's the reason my father poured for his company for those foundations, because he requested the top man in the union, the man who did the World Trade Center complex. Uh, I'm not sure if my father was involved in when they made the United Nations building. Now, if the building was made after the Korean War, he was probably the man who poured the foundation for that. Like, he did shit on that level. He also did, like, most of the corporate buildings that went in, the union would send my father. So that's what he did for a living, pouring all of this concrete. I wanted to clarify that point, what I was getting to with the old man. And that's the reason I have a problem with when I go into the city and I see this fat fucking troll mayor de Blasio. His real name, what was it? Fucking Alzer Chrysler or whatever the fuck his name was. That weird German name that this big fucking 7 foot tall freak has. And the fact that he did that to the city, what he's doing to the city still, and knowing that my father built most of the newer buildings in there, or was at least he poured the concrete, and most of the buildings, I'd say also up until the year 2000, my uncle, the one that I've talked about before, the one who was Marine, and then he was OSS for the Swiss during the war, World War II. Obviously, he was older than my father, but that was my uncle who he was in charge. He worked the cranes, with when they were putting in the beams. And a guy around the corner from me, his father, like he was in the iron workers, and he was the one in charge of the beams that they were putting together. I mean, so many people in this neighborhood. If you didn't work for Grumman, you worked in Manhattan building these fucking buildings that they were putting up in the 20th century. And that's one of the reasons I get heated. And when people tell me leave, it's not just because of where I live, but because right at the heart of where I live is this fucking city that my father helped build, that my whole family and my whole community pitched in on building. And people from the rest of the fucking country, every other state, they're fucking piece of shit leftists left their states. So now basically, think about this. This country is going through a utopia period. Every state has turned red as fuck because they've all fled here in California. The rest of the country is going through a paradise phase while I'm experiencing hell on earth. Do you want to know what happened to me tonight? I went to the fucking Dollar Tree before. That's where I had to go. I had to go to grab something. I forget what the matches. I needed wood matches. And there was these SJWs in there. And I could hear their accents when I walked past them. I'm guessing lower Midwest. I want to say, maybe lower Ohio. Because you know how they don't have really a way that there's not really an accent to Ohio. They had that weird way of speaking where it sounded really sterile. So they seen the shirt I had on, and they seen which car was mine. Now, mind you, I had parked it in the handicap spot because there was literally nowhere else to park. Otherwise, I would park in a normal spot. I don't like parking in the handicap. You know, I figured it could actually be somebody who's really fucked up that needs that space. You know, so I'd rather park in the. But anyway, I come out and they actually surrounded the car with shopping carts. See, it's not even that bad that they surrounded it with shopping carts, but it was in the middle of like the start of that electrical storm that just ended. So there was a good chance the car could have got struck by lightning. You know, it's one of these things. It's like these little pukes. These two broads. They wouldn't say something to me in the store, but they'd rather wait and when I have my back turned, run outside these conniving fucks and surround my car with shopping carts. And I'm thinking to myself, the kids who live here wouldn't do that. Like, if they had a problem with me, they'd either try to start with me in the store, or they'd wait for me to come outside and just try to beat the shit out of me. You know? These little fucks, like all these little Antifa bastards, the ones that dress like these Walmart ninjas and go and attack garbage cans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have
Their
them.
lives matter.
Yeah. We got them here in spades. But this is the thing. So many of these kids that are here now, like the ones that are college age, they're all from like either your states down in the South or over by Burnside or in like those, you know, I don't know, pastoral states, the Grange states where they grow all the grains and shit, like the corn and the wheat and whatever. I don't know. There's a bunch of prairie states. I know Oklahoma's over there, but you know they all come from there, and if they don't go to California, they come here. And I, you know, it's weird because you go to D.C. and you see these screwball protesters. It doesn't bother me as much to see them in D.C. I mean, I love D.C. It's a beautiful city. Don't get me wrong. And seeing these assholes there, you don't want to see them anywhere. But I guess because you're surrounded by all this patriotic shit. I don't know. When I was in D.C., I had this charged feeling like, you know, okay, well, let's go, motherfucker. You know, but that's not why I'm going down. I want to go back down to D.C. It's just, I don't know. Seeing these people in New York City doing this shit, just trying to destroy America and trying to do it in the greatest city in this country, if not the world, it breaks my heart, and I'll be completely honest. I don't think it's not a fear thing. It's a patience thing. I'm afraid I'm going to either get myself killed because I'll start assaulting these kids and there's going to be like 50 of them and they'll get me down on the ground and stomp me to death thinking I'm a trash can, or I get arrested because I kill one of them. You know, I just beat them to fucking death. And the rest of them, when they actually see one person beating somebody badly, they don't do anything. Kids, I honestly think I've watched a lot of these videos. I have not seen too many of these videos where somebody just grabs these Antifa kids and just knocks the shit out of them. I've looked. I really have. I have not seen any of these kids catch a really bad ass whooping yet. Not yet, anyway. For anyone who's curious what I'm talking about where you grab the person by the collar of their shirt and you flip it around your hand really quick and twist it into a knot. So now you got your hand in a fist with their shirt in the middle of your fist, so now they can't pull away. And you start pulling them towards you, and you start cracking them in the face. And then you pull them towards you and crack them. You're hitting them in the face and pulling them towards you at the same time. And then, like, when they pull away, you pull them back towards you and crack them in the face again. You know, I'm saying I haven't seen anyone do that to Antifa yet. Seriously, I'm waiting for somebody to just grab one of these little motherfuckers by their hoodie, wrap it around their fist, and then with their free hand just start beating the shit out of them, cracking them in the nose over and over and over. You know? The kid's sitting there trying to say stop, but it's coming out like snap because his nose is shattered. Snap! Snap! You know? I'm waiting for that. I'm sorry to say it like that, but I mean, it's only a matter of time. I mean, you see that they fuck with these veterans, too. I don't know who on the fuck on the left thinks it's a good idea. I'm waiting for the one veteran that they fuck with who's like a hand-to-hand combatant and is completely ape shit crazy. And does exactly the scenario I'm talking about and just starts like dismantling one of these kids. I'm waiting on it because that all that has to do is get the mass media has to show one of these kids getting picked up with his where he's on his toes like a ballerina and gets beaten bloody with one hand by somebody, and these kids are gonna stop immediately. I'm being dead serious. You'll literally see not on the West Coast. It's too far gone over there. I really hate to say it. We're gonna have to send in the Marines and just let them baton the shit out of them like the riots in Puerto Rico in the '80s. But other than that, I think like on the East Coast and down south, and in the parts of the Midwest where we're having these problems with these Antifa kids, like that. What's his name? That based stick man. That's his name.
Yeah.
Thank you. With him, that started like a surge of these Antifa kids all of a sudden started arming themselves. As soon as that Yahoo started running around with his helmet and beating the hell out of kids, they started arming themselves. And I'm saying you got to get somebody like a guy my size, but I'm saying like really still in like banging fucking brolic shape. If somebody like, let's say like Dave Bautista, somebody built like that, right? And one of these kids is wearing all his crazy armor, and he runs up to him and assaults him. And the guy who looks like Batista just grabs the kid, yoinks him up where the kid's now on his tippy toes, and just starts with his free hand backhanding this kid, and then open palm and backhand and open palm, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And all
Like
you see is this kid, like a cartoon, but I'm saying like actually like walloping him, where by the fifth or sixth swing, that's when you start to see the blood spraying. And I'm saying like he doesn't stop until he goes from, you know, like a cracking noise to a smushing noise, where the kid's like every bone is broken in the kid's face from the orbits down. If they show something like live, can you imagine a live feed on CNN? First off, it would stop because all of these kids' phones would start blowing up. It would be either their mother or father or both telling them, you have to come home right now. We're watching this live. Is that you? Are you okay? My God, what's happening to that poor boy? Why is that animal beating that boy? Why isn't somebody stopping him? We're sending an Uber for you. Yeah. Just picture it. Because I have. Seriously. The guy who is the founder of the #resist movement, I'm pretty sure he taught 2 classes my niece sat in last semester. They fucking all live out here. I'm telling you, these people are the fucking most disgusting pussies on the planet. If somebody would just grab one, especially if this Antifa kid, if they would unmask him and this kid was really good looking and he got beat ugly, I mean fucking like ugly. You know, where like, oh, mommy, what is that? We don't say that about those people. Like ugly like that.
Like not even his mom could
Yeah.
recognize him.
Yeah, exactly. If this kid got ugly like that on international television live, and then they, you know, CNN has them on for the interview, and they have to have an interpreter because, you know, they all got weird names, these kids, these fucking liberal children. Seven. We'll call the guy Seven. Oh, Seven got the shit smacked out of him, or however they talk. Oh, Seven got assaulted, so Seven isn't going to be able to speak. So we have a translator for him. And the fucking kid's in there because his fucking, you know, jaw's hanging over his nose, and so they got a translator talking for him. Yeah, I'm sure Antifa's numbers are going to grow in volume by then. Nah, fuck that. These parents are going to... I can picture it. The parents are going to be out in the backyard with a fucking big oil drum thrown in the fucking... their red mask and their fucking commie flag and their black pajamas and their fucking... their axe handles with the fucking knife blade sticking out of them and all the other fucking things that these little commie pricks walk around with. Their bike locks. And I can picture them. No, Daddy, I need that for the revolution. Shut up. Look at what happened to that Seven boy as he douses it with kerosene and fucking sets it on fire. Yeah, I'll stand up on the roof and film it. You'll see it for miles around over here. Antifa will get burned out in one night. Seriously, anyone who's listening, if you're a patriot and you pump iron, make sure that there's a fucking camera crew around. Just grab one of these kids and beat the shit out of them on camera. Seriously. everyone's like, "Oh, you're condoning violence." No, I'm just saying this will end this really fucking quick. If some fucking big gorilla-looking bastard beats the shit out of one of these kids on camera, that's all that it'll stop. Seriously. You remember when there was that downswing when they actually started assaulting the veterans and the patriots, and that's when all of a sudden there was a downswing in the Antifa violence because the veterans were like manhandling them, but nobody caught it on camera. So I remember there was a few videos I had heard. I think Durst the Worst had like a few of them. He gets like a lot of footage from what I understand, but apparently they went after like one or two veterans who walloped the living shit out of these little bastards, and I think since then YouTube has made sure to bury it because again, if I'm going to go off to try to fight, what do they call the citizenry? Is that the citizenry? Is that the proletariat? I'll be honest, I don't follow this commie horse shit. You know, when they're like, I had a communist try to send me shit the other day on Mines, and I fucked with him. I just told him what like my stances were. I didn't even read the shit he sent me because I don't care. It's not capitalism, so I'm not interested in it. I'm really that obnoxious about it. If you want to put a fucking word in front of capitalism and try to tell me, no, fuck you. I don't want to even hear about it. No, neo-capitalism, no, fuck off. Paleo, no. I heard about that paleo shit. Paleo, I understand with paleo diets. What is it? You eating raw food? The fuck on. Nah, I like my shit cooked. So I ain't trying paleo food. I ain't trying paleo capitalism. The last time I heard neo attached to something was neocons, and they like to blow shit up. And I'm really not down with blowing shit up because, like, you know what it is? Let me rephrase that. I got no problem. Like, let's say we got all these refugees coming in. I got no problem carpet bombing them. But like, the neocons just, oh, okay, listen, this country, mind you, large place, couple million people in it. Yeah, this country is known for producing terrorists. Oh, okay, how many terrorists have come out of this country? Oh, about 250. Oh, that's a lot of terrorists. What's the population? 10 million. 250 people out of 10 million. Okay, I'm following you. Yeah, so we're going to bomb the fuck out the whole country. Yeah, listen, let's back that up a few feet. Do we got to bomb the whole fucking country? That's why I don't like the neocons. That's their solution. Okay, everything within this square we're going to turn into a parking lot. A very big parking lot. Nah. You know what? That's a little bit too much. Now, if you have specific coordinates for an enemy, well, yeah, by all means, reduce his fucking lair to molten glass. But why the fuck do we got to get his neighbors and his grocery store and the fucking car dealership up the road and the church? You know, what the fuck? You know, that's I don't jive with that. Like, that's the problem I have with the neocons. Like, all right, check this out. Let's say I have a problem with somebody. Let's say it's a certain somebody in another state, right? Let's say it's a certain somebody in another state and they live on a specific street. And I know where the street is and I know where the house is on the street. I know where their room is in the house. Okay, now check this out. If I do anything other than go directly for them in the room in that house, I'm overstepping my reach. If I have a real problem with the person I want to go after them, if I go after the whole house, there's other people in the house that are not involved. You see, and now this is the worst form of guilt by association, is you're involving innocent people. This is one of the reasons I try to explain to people, you know, like with doxing in general, like if you try to put somebody's information out there, you could be harming people who are not involved and don't even know what's going on. You're involving innocents. Now, let's expand it even further. Now, this is what I'm saying with I don't like neocons. Now, the person who I dislike, I know where his room is in the house. I know where the house is on the street. I know where the street is in the town. See, the neocons, I could give them this information. They're still going to level the whole fucking town. That's the problem I have, because you want to do it, if you really got to take the person out, you just go and you take them out in the room in the house that they're in, and you try to make it where it's just them and it's quick and it's clean. Really got to do it discreet. You got to friggin' send a cleanup crew, that's one thing. But if you really got to cover your tracks and you got to take out the whole family, that's some cold shit. What the fuck did this person do? And why the hell are they still walking the streets? And to begin with, that your ass has to take out their whole fucking household. That's the way I look at it. You know, I didn't forget about Ruby Ridge. You know, I want to make that clear to people. Like, when I say to people, I've talked, you know, in the past, I've dealt with the FBI in various cases as a journalist. I have. And it's one of those things where you have to understand there are different departments within each of these alphabet agencies. And if you deal with one department, you are literally dealing with a whole separate chain of command than a different department you deal with. So a lot of people get confused. They'll think because they dealt with, let's say you deal with Agent Smith, and Agent Smith works for the FBI. Okay, who is Agent Smith's superior agent? What department is he in? What part of the chain of command within the FBI is he part of? That's one of the things you have to realize when you deal with these different agencies. So, my particular view is I don't have a problem with the FBI per se. I specifically have a problem with the chain of command at the time and the agents involved with and the commanding agents and the superior agents who were involved with Ruby Ridge. Because I feel that there was a lot that went down on there that is so wrong on so many levels. Now, this is the thing. There are other agents and agencies within the FBI, the subdivisions, excuse me, not agencies, the subdivisions within there, like the organized crime division, let's say, for example. They just deal with organized crime. They're not involved with Ruby Ridge. The cyber crimes, which is a newer one, they weren't even around when Ruby Ridge was there. And to be completely frank, a lot of these kids are younger than you, Kelt. So they weren't involved with Ruby Ridge either. So you can't really. It's like one of those things. Unfortunately, it's American ignorance we have a problem with, where we will, you know, damn the whole bunch and we'll throw the baby out with the bathwater, and that's a problem I have. So I will say this again. I have a lot of problems with how Ruby Ridge was handled, and I have a lot of problems with the way the neocons handle a lot of things. Part of the reason I don't neocon, not something I jive with, and why I don't like neo-capitalism. I'll stick to straight, old-fashioned American capitalism. Thank you. What made this country great? Oh, man. Tara.
You talk too much, Sarah.
Tara. You know that she's probably in the fridge right now. Either that or walking the dog. And I only say in the fridge because I know for a fact she probably is cooking something fantastic right now. And she's probably getting ingredients. That's what I'm really looking forward to when your sister comes to visit in August. Not so much going up to Boston, but her cooking. My wife couldn't cook if you held her at gunpoint. That's a sad thing to say, but it's the truth. You know how to cook, Kelt?
Somewhat.
Yeah, what do you know how to cook?
Fish.
Ooh. Well, lay it on me. Let me get a recipe.
Usually just baked tilapia or salmon.
Nice. She returns. I got a buddy of mine. He's really good at barbecuing salmon. Good at barbecuing tilapia. Like, a lot, you know what is, you don't really get those a lot here, because people usually just catch local and they just throw the shit up onto the grill. So, you can buy the shit at the store. I mean, a lot of the yuppies buy that shit, but, you know, like down, I guess, the South Shore folk, we go and catch our own. Like, I don't think I've ever actually had freshwater fish other than salmon is only freshwater when it's going up the river. Yeah, I don't think I ever had freshwater fish.
Come down here, I'll cook you some fucking catfish.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I never had. That's all we eat up here is saltwater fish, because everyone fishes it. Yeah, it's really cool. You'd like it because that's all everyone does up here is fish. I don't think you've seen a few of the videos I put up the other day on the 4th of July when my father-in-law and my wife and myself went out on the boat. And yeah, that's literally it's. I didn't have to travel far. That's he's like, I want to be at the docks at 9. I said, okay, sure, no problem. I'll pick you up. I picked him up at 8:55, and we were at the dock by 8:57. He was 2 minutes away from. He's literally 2 minutes away from the docks. Like we're that close to the water. Which kind of sucks because sometimes in the summer you can't go outside because the smell of the tide is so bad you'll fucking throw up. Sucks, but it has its perks. If you watch those videos, that's where I grew up. I, spent a lot of time in that fucking city, but I consider the time I spent on the bay. That's where I grew up. Never mind that damn city. I prefer the bay. Seriously. I don't know. Like, Manhattan was cool when you're a kid, but now that I'm a grown up, it's just like, oh, I hate this fucking place. These fucking spoiled brats. These fucking little bastards are gonna chase after me with their designer clothes on underneath those fucking ninja outfits that they got on, and they're gonna scream to me that I'm an oppressor and I'm this and I'm that because I got these wild colored eyes. Go fuck your hand. Seriously. I Yes, I'm so sorry. These fucking kids putting those shopping carts. I say kids, they were probably in their fucking late 20s. These morons, these two fucking ugly bitches, ugly fucking snaggly tooth friggin' bird's nest hair motherfuckers. They're gonna sit there and fucking put shopping carts around my car. And the best part is, I get in the car and I know that they were watching too, because didn't look around. They like put it around one corner. I just turned the car and went in the other direction. They didn't even hinder me. I'm sitting there like, wow, these bitches are stupid. Like they literally only did it to one side of the car because there was another car parked next to me. The car left, and there was an opening. So I literally just turned the wheel in the opposite direction. I didn't have to go, past these carts. I'm sitting here like, wow, we're fucking retards. They waste their time and do something like that. This is the reason that the left is losing. They're this stupid. Jesus. I had somebody ask me the other day. They're like, Scoob, since when are you right wing? I'm like, I ain't right wing, motherfucker. I'm a centrist. You leftists are retards. I don't want to be lumped in with you at all. I'd much rather hang out with the right wingers. Seriously, at least they know how to barbecue. Seriously, and this is going to sound racist as fuck. I don't care. But because the Democrats are losing the blacks slowly and they're losing the Latin folk slowly, they're actually like losing these numbers of people. If they start losing like serious, like let's say some of these catering businesses, and I mean, it's going to go downhill because that's one of the biggest things that they had going for them, the Democrats. They could throw a shindig because they had so many good caterers. They've alienated the Jews, they've alienated the blacks, and they've alienated the Hispanics, and they've alienated the Asians. Like that, a lot of people don't realize when that bombshell dropped that Asians actually have to get like 150 on something to get into college instead of 100. Huh?
You're talking about the SAT test?
Yeah, like when all that broke, and especially
They
the thing
have
that
they actually have points taken away from them just for being Asian.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like so, it turns out like technically they have to get like 150. That's what I'm talking about. Like I'm obviously I'm being hyperbolic. I'm not sure exactly what they have to score technically, but they did that to them, and because again this is a democratic program, they're slowly starting to lose Asians because a lot of people don't realize the reason the Asians vote as a bloc. And I want to clarify when I say this is a bloc. A lot by me, these people have literally only just come here in the past 10 years. There has been a huge influx because of persecuted people from Falun Gong that I guess they were finally able to get their asylum here in this country. And that's why Flushing, Queens, anyone who's seen The Nanny with Fran Drescher, that's where Fran's supposed to be, from Flushing. That's actually where she's from. It's so full of Chinese now that they actually call it Falashang instead of Flushing. It's the demographic has changed that much. And these folks always voted as a bloc for the Democrats because they're all coming from communism. And it's like, oh, communism light, communism with an American twist. We're happy with that. So you could sit there and say that this is the reason that it's hard to, it was at one point hard to scare the Chinese because, for the past few years, people were saying to them, they're just like the communists. And they would laugh like, oh, you silly Americans, they're not like the communists. No one's tried to rip out my liver yet and sell it. But now, because of all the new stuff that's going on, and especially since the president's been talking to Xi Jinping so much, and they've seen what's happening with China's economy, and they've seen the Democrats falling all over themselves to try to talk to Xi Jinping. Like, you got to understand, when Xi Jinping did that shit to Obama, like, flat out disrespected him when he came to China, that sent a message to the Chinese people in this country about the Democratic Party, especially now with what's happening with Trump and Xi Jinping. They noticed that. And it's starting to actually swing the Chinese vote. Now, again, people are going to say to me, they're going to hem and haw. Look, I'm talking about people who, their children aren't even in grade school yet, some of these folks that are fresh to this country with their kids who were born here. That's how new they are to this country. Some of these people have only been here less than, 10 years. They come in droves because they escape from China. And they come here. I mean, if you guys remember, there was that movie Lethal Weapon, I think it was the 3, when they were when the Chinese people were escaping to America. 4, right? Yeah. That actually happens in New York City a lot. We get boatloads of Chinese people all over the place. They just go rolling up into the harbor. They'll try to sneak in a lot. We got a lot of, people don't realize the ICE raids. They're, the poor Hispanics. You should see what's going on in Chinatown right now. Holy shit. You want to talk ICE raids? Whew. From what I understand, because I haven't been in Chinatown in the past couple, I'm not going into this fucking city in this heat, so no one ask me. No fucking way do I go into Manhattan Island in a heat wave. Especially after what was it, Sunday they had a blackout again? Last time we had a good heat wave, they had the black. Nah, I'm good. That fucking 2004 blackout, I remember crystal clear. I'm not going to be stuck in Manhattan in a blackout. I'm good. But anyway, from what I heard about what's going on in Chinatown, they hit a bunch of the sweatshops and they got a bunch of those people and they're deporting them. Which sucks because that's going to make it really hard for me to get a pair of Nikes now. Because, again, I understand everyone's boycotting Nike, but check this out. I have not worn store-bought Nikes in probably 25 years.
A lot of people are actually not boycotting Nike. They're actually doing pretty well.
Well, I know, if I was wearing, because I've seen people say shit around here, a lot of patriots and veterans I've seen saying shit to people wearing Nike shit. But me personally, this is the thing now. You got to understand, because Kaepernick pulled that shit, anyone who's interested, and no, I'm not going to go get them for anybody. Get your ass on a bus or a plane if you want them. Or you can pay me. Then that'll actually change things. So let me rephrase that. Anyone who's willing to pay me for my time, yeah, I'll go get you a pair. Does Kaepernick sneakers, which is what I'm calling them now, the ones with the Betsy Ross flags that Kaepernick was a douchebag about?
Yeah.
You can cop a pair up on Jamaica Avenue. I know that they're supposed to get pulled off the shelf. Nothing disappears around here. You want them, you got the bread, you can get the authentic, or you can get the knockoff. I personally will probably get myself a pair of knockoffs.
Speaking of controversial flags, Chris Pratt has been getting some Twitter hate.
I heard about this. Fill me in.
Yeah, because of a T-shirt he was wearing that had the Gadsden flag on it.
Yeah.
And I noticed something. They are calling our symbols of freedom oppressive.
Mm-hmm.
I saw in 1984 Freedom is slavery.
Yeah, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I got no problem with that. They want to be slaves, have at it. We have a lot of shit in the infrastructure that needs to be fixed, so I got no problem putting chains on SJWs. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, we'll put this big collar on you. That way you can go work in the field. After you're done in the field, you're going to go work in the mine. You know, that way you get your vitamin D and your vitamin A. And then, yeah, we'll let you sleep your 8 hours. I mean, seriously, what the fuck is the matter with these people? You know what it is? I really got to go in one of these days to one of the houses around here the next time I get a chance and just see if I can film like the inside of the house, how it looks. Because, and this isn't me taking a swipe at people in other parts of the country. You might see architecture like this down in Miami. You know, you'll see it over in LA. It's just no one in this country and other parts of the country, it's not that they can't afford architecture like this. No one in their right mind is going to pay for this gaudy shit because of how much it costs. New Yorkers, mostly the transplants, let me clarify. Transplant New Yorkers love gaudy shit. So next time I go and I see one of these assholes, originally is from like Colorado or some shit, I'll go and I'll film the inside of their house. You will see the most bourgeois shit you'll ever see. Like, you know, when you go into a room and it's all white and the furniture is all white and everything's square or everything is round or everything's triangular, you'll see shit like that. Just that horrible, horrible shit taste that these folks have. That's part of the reason, you know, we got this decline that we got going on with, like, our media and our culture anyway. I mean, fuck, look at this new Bond movie. And that's British. That poor fucking country. I feel so bad for them. You know, I'm sure that up in heaven my grandfather is smiling his ass off at what's happening in Britain. But I personally, I don't think that the British people deserve it. I mean, people are going to say that Britain has done a lot of evil over the centuries and that they deserve what they're going through. I don't know how to respond to that because it's one of those things. What I'm seeing going on in Britain, it's happening to the British people. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to punish somebody for something that, you know, what their people did. Seriously, because in case, huh?
Sins of the father.
Hey, well, even the sins of the entire culture. I mean, let's face it.
Well, that's what the phenomenon was called.
No, I know that. I know exactly what you mean. But what I'm saying is, like, if you look at what's happened to me here on YouTube specifically, and on Twitter, but more so on YouTube because I don't even talk to no one on Twitter. The way that I got demonized so fast was people started spreading a false narrative, and what they pointed at was, well, look at how he talks and listen to how he speaks. He's one of them. Dun, dun, dun. And I got othered. And that's the thing that pissed me off was I don't like that othering shit. And I don't like that happens a lot. And it's one of the things I try to avoid. But in the same breath, that's why I was saying before, there are certain things you have to look at them as a block, because when you have an entire ethnic community, as somebody who has come from two different types of ethnic communities, but still they're enclaves just the same, you'll see that there are times when these people will vote as blocks. And one of the things that you'll see with the large, heavy arguing going on is when they're having disagreements about politics. Trust me. Whenever you go through an ethnic neighborhood and you see two, usually it's the men, but there'll be women arguing, but usually it's the men, and you see two grown men, usually middle-aged or older, standing on a street corner arguing fiercely, it's always politics. That's how these people from, especially older folks, are from other parts of the world. They tend to be fierce about their politics. That's why they came to this country. You know, people they don't realize that. So when they vote as a block, and when I say that they vote as a block, I'm just saying from what I know about the culture. Like my mother's family, like she told me when she was a girl that she had her aunts that told her you have to vote Democrat because they take care of us. They're good to us because we're poor people and we're immigrants. So you have to vote Democrat. That's literally what they taught my mother as a girl. You have to think about that. They said the same thing to my father, and I've said this before on the air, and I'll stick by my guns. You will never find somebody who's involved in organized crime who's a Republican in New York State. New York State, you will not find one. The only Republican I know of that was involved in organized crime was Ed Mangano, the counselor for Nassau County. That's just went through like 2 or 3 trials. I think he finally got found guilty. And that's one of the things I constantly say is all the gangsters are Democrats, but the Democrat politicians, at least in my part of the state, aren't that bad. But Nassau County, their Republicans are they're gangsters. It's weird. That's actually part of the reason I had a hard time like converting some people to vote for Trump, because the Republicans in Nassau are so blatantly thieves. I don't understand how the hell they keep electing them. I even said that to the Republicans in Suffolk. I said, "What the fuck is wrong with Nassau County? Why the hell are they constantly like electing fucking gangsters and criminals?" They're like, "Oh, we don't know. We have nothing to do with them." I said, "Well, you guys are the neighboring county. You think you could ask them?" I'd ask the Republicans in Queens, but they don't exist anymore. Wow, it's midnight already.
Yep.
At that time. And
All
this
right.
patch is like clockwork. Hello, Patches.
Anything to show from you guys?
Tara?
No, I'm good.
Gooby?
Actually, I do. I was telling Burnside earlier, I found something really cool. I can apparently catch a bus to DC and back for $5 each way. So I'm going to try to starting next week or so. I'm going to see about going down to DC maybe once or twice a week to try to cover shit live. Yeah, so that's probably that, and I might have a few more local videos that I'm going to put up. But otherwise, that's
Remember, you can't live stream mobile until you have 1,000 subs.
I'm not looking to live stream. I'll just go down there and well, if anything, I could just buy a hotspot, and that'll take care of that problem. We'll have to see, though. Right, Patches? I'll just walk around with my laptop. I don't give a shit. I'll stream from that. I'll just turn it around and be like, yeah, I'm walking around carrying a laptop. Hey, how you doing? That should work fine. Patches, why are you standing there like a gargoyle? All perched up. Yeah, but that's all I got cooking right now. You guys there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm waiting for my brother to instigate the good night.
Well, I guess that's all today, folks. Good night.
No,
Huh?
just kill the screen.